The Reading Phillies officially became the Fightin' Phils in November of 2012. But in May of 2006, the R-Phils mixed it up with the visiting Connecticut Defenders on a night in which chaos reigned on the field and on the lineup cards.
You don't see a lot of bench clearing brawls in minor leagues anymore. There are rules against them and there are stiff penalties, including fines, so the players are kind of deterred from doing that. But it happens every once in a while, and this was a bad one.
By baseball standards, a big league fight. It just went one of those fights that went on and on.
And you could see it brewing as the game wore on. Scott Matheson pitching for Reading, very aggressive, hard thrower, would like to pitch inside. He hits three guys. Two Reading guys were hit during the course of the game, and eventually the benches erupt.
They erupted with 2 outs and the bases empty in the top of the 6th inning when Scott Matheson drilled his 3rd batter of the night.
I remember taking Scott Matheson up to the Orwigsburg Little League, and I remember the guys in the car on the way up, were joking that he would throw at his own mom if the situation called for it.
Scott Matheson was the kind of pitcher, he wasn't going to back down from anybody. He stood his ground out there. He wasn't going to back off or run away because Scott was a pretty big guy, and he was ready to mix it up himself.
He got out on that mound. He was a fierce competitor, and off the field, the nicest guy you would ever want to meet.
Defenders catcher Eliezer Alfonso didn't seem to care what Matheson was like off the field after being hit in the leg with a fastball.
Certainly not something you ever want to see, and it was nasty here. There's no question about it. There was one in Erie that was very similar, but this was definitely one of the worst ones I've seen, and fortunately, nobody got seriously hurt out of it, but not something you want to see every day on the baseball field.
There were 9 ejections in all. Connecticut had 5 get tossed, not to mention losing shortstop Jake Wald, who was taken to the hospital for stitches. When the dust settled, the defenders needed to employ pitchers at first base, second base, and left field.
The bottom of the 8th inning, the guy who pitched the 7th went to left field, and the pitcher who was in left field pitched the 8th inning. They flipped them because they had nobody left. They couldn't bring anybody else in to play left field, so they just flipped those two. 2 pitchers changed spots.
The Connecticut player that was hit, I don't think he ever served a suspension here because he went up to the big leagues with the Giants like a week later, and then when they sent him back down, he went to AAA. So I think if he ever finds himself in the Eastern League again, he's got a 3-game suspension hanging over his head.
The suspensions were staggered throughout the season because they couldn't afford to suspend 7 or 8 or 10 guys on the same team at once. So it just became a story unto itself as to, each day you'd have to find out which guy is serving a suspension, and it's kind of a ridiculous situation. It really was.
I also remember at the time the umpires were on strike, and I think that made me realize how difficult a job they have. Because we had some replacement umpires, and I still maintain to this day that never happens if we have the regular umpires, because they have authority, and they command a little more respect, and they know how to stop that from happening 5-6 steps before it started and it escalates.
A crazy night in Brawl town, another of Reading's many golden moments.